Shalom, giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto thee, Allah apostles, Allah bishops, and brothers on Dung and Great Millstone. Salutations to the elect. This is Brother Rai Banyamian, here to share the lesson. And title of this lesson, I may call it New Weapons or New Methods of Warfare Will Be Required. Alright. I was reading the account of this military leader, and he said that the old ways of fighting and warfare and weapons that they use in times past, particularly, against Afghanistan and the likes of Iraq, cannot or would not be effective against the warfare that is to come, right? And we all know that this conflict of war that they're fighting with Iran pays a comparison for the big one that is to come, right? World War III and the coming of Yahushua HaMashiach, right? Because they'll be dealing with the spiritual vessels, the spiritual weapons of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, right? So they're gonna fight hard and they're gonna change the methods. But I'm gonna read the article, which is interesting. It piqued my interest, and I just had to share it with you all. And I had two scriptures. I'm gonna read it in between and close it out. So Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to you because it fits into prophecy. But through reading the article, I may change the title at some point if need be. Alright, so here we go. It says Military Special Operations Commander says the next war may require the military to creatively destroy old ways of training, by Business Insider, Kelsey Baker. Alright, I don't know why they have all these advertising images on the screen. It says Special Operations Chief says military may drop some old training methods. The Pentagon is under pressure to transform its ranks after 20 years of the global war on terror. Future wars will likely require new priorities and tougher trade-offs, Admiral says. Adapting to new battlefields may mean that the U.S. military needs to clear its training calendar to make way for new priorities, right? Yeah, I wish I being one of them, especially the Space Force, a top admiral said. Alright, it says some things that we used to do, we are going to have to stop doing. Admiral Frank Bradley, who leads the military's Special Operations Command, said last week at the annual SOF week event in Tampa, Florida. Bradley recalled how, as a junior sailor, he and his teammates measured the depth of water using a line weighed with a lead block, writing their measurement on shards of plexiglass with grease pencils. But as methods and techs evolved, right, the Navy began adopting other tools for training, and that reminds me of the script that I put in Isaiah 9 and 5. What you just said, the way they used to measure depths of waters, right, is by using a string or a line, right, led by a lead block, right, and then make markings, thereon to measure the depths as the old way of doing things, just like the old way of fighting, like I'm about to read right now. And it says, this is Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5. It says, for every battle, this is the ancient battle, old form of fighting, right? For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, right? Soldiers shouting and stuff. Weapons clashing against each other. Weapons against flesh. Shields bouncing or hitting each other in defense, right? And garments roll with blood. So the fighting was bloody. People's arms were being cut off and all kind of thing. legs maimed, you know, uh, big stones with catapults to throw it to people will crush, people will bloody. It was a whole mess. It says, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, right? Those two thermonuclear missiles, and also from the concentrated laser beams that's going to be shooting out of these chariots, or brothers chariots, the angels chariots, right, in these last days. So as with the old form of fighting, right, it's going to be a new form, right, with burning and not with fire. Right, back then they had their thermonuclear missiles and different arsenals. Now they do. So that is what is going to be shut up in this form of warfare that is coming. It says there are only so many hours in the day and so many days in a week, and some of those hours you have to sleep and be ready to be sharp, Bradley said. And so you have a limited amount of time to prepare and train. And so we aren't going to just add new things onto the calendar for our SOF formations or any of our formations. We have to creatively destroy parts, of that calendar to make room for new things we have to do, right? So, and plus they're gonna also face the allies and stuff too as well. That's gonna turn on them. There's a different kind of warfare coming, but the height of it is going to be when Yahushua appears. It says, as the Pentagon tries to transform the training tech and acquisitions processes that calcified during the 20-year global war on terror, letting go of irrelevant training could be tough. Right? And it says training requirements are not always flexible. Some training requires high-level approval for program modifications, and some seemingly outdated practices can still be available for troops, meaning cuts have to be made judicially, right? So that they have to see, right, any cuts that they make, they have to see if it would be, profitable, right? So through every military battle and exercise, you make notes, what worked, what didn't work, so on and so forth, and make adjustments and modifications to your tactics and your behavior, right? Or how you go about, fighting, and this is what they are doing. They have to wisely, according to them, make cuts and make additions where need be. Right, but it won't work against Yahushai. Right, for an hour, he's gonna defeat them. It says there's a push within the military to experiment with new technologies such as drones, counter-drone technology, and electronic warfare. Yes, and that they're gonna use against the people too as well. They're gonna cut their power, and stuff. The internet, the access to the internet, and absorb modern warfare lessons from conflicts like the war in Ukraine. Right, continue on. It says many methods of warfare and planning assumptions the U.S. relied on in Iraq and Afghanistan already don't apply anymore. Right, so you're seeing new 14 times of change, said General Frank Donovan, the head of U.S. Southern Command, at last week's event. What we had in Iraq and Afghanistan was more vehicles, more forward operating bases, more dining facilities, more logistics, more unlimited comms, relatively good weather, clear skies, no trees, all those things, Donovan said. We have none of that in Southcom. Alright, so they're gonna have to up their game. Especially for the conflicts that they're gonna be facing in the future. He says, we haven't fought really under the gun in a long time, he added. Speaking broadly of large scale conflict, grit and the human ability to endure harsh conditions will remain essential, he added. So you see why they instituted that automatic registration into, we call it the selected services, that is gonna kick in December, Lord willing. They're gonna throw a lot of bodies at these wars and stuff that's coming down the road. This is for special operators. That means somehow balancing training and emerging tech with things like swimming through high surfs to take an adversary by surprise, Bradley said. Best believe that the tech emerging as well is going to be that chip, man. Brain chip for some, probably who do more specialized operations, but definitely the RFID, that grain of rice that's going to be inserted in your hand. They're going to be using that a lot. They'll be able to monitor each man or woman soldier in real time with precision. It says our leadership teams on a daily basis have to go through that prioritized drill of how they prioritize the most important commodity, the most important capital they have, intellectual capital, where are people spending their time and their focus to develop and prepare for the next mission, he said. All right, that brings us to the end of the article. Yeah, so they are preparing and gearing up for the warfare that is to come. And I'll grab this, Zephaniah 3 and 8. And it says, therefore, wait ye upon me, said the Lord Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my busy point, for my determination is to gather the nations, right, in that region over there in West Asia, so-called Middle East, that I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. And they're going to be faced with that. All these adjustments, all these shifts in warfare they're going to make, right? They're going to meet the Lord out there. They're going to meet our power out there. All right, it says, fierce anger, man. For all the earth shall be devoured with fire for my jealousy, right? Because they touch us, right? They came down on us. They forwarded our affliction, right? And by they doing that to us, it aroused the Most High Yabashim Yahushai to anger. So these are the things that they are gonna face, right, in the times to come. And before he gets, it's gonna be bad because they're gonna be fighting against each other. All right. So more to look forward to, man, as the Most High calls this thing to move forward. Yeah. So Lord willing, this quick read, was an understanding to elect and give you some knowledge onto the Most High's intention in these last days. So I just wanted to bring this to you all, Lord willing, it was edifying to elect. Until the next time, Shalom.